Okay, so as you can see, I told you that I had interviews today for a motor vehicle operator for the commissioner and for our fleet unit. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of do's and don'ts on interviewing. When you interview, let's start with a video interview. When you have a video interview, whether it be Teams, Zoom, Google Meet, it doesn't matter. You need to start to try to log in at least 15 minutes before. I'm not saying to log in. Remember, I'm not saying to log in. I'm saying you have to start attempting to get yourself organized in the meeting, or to make sure you can log in, to make test your Wi-Fi, test all that other stuff at least 15 minutes before, if not the night before. Night before is kind of like because your Wi-Fi can work one at night and then in the morning something goes wonky with your Wi-Fi, right? But if you start testing your equipment, your whatever, trying to log in, making sure the link works, all that other stuff, if you do that at least 15 minutes before and you see that you're running into a problem and you see that you can't get on at least like within, it's like you tried for like 10 minutes and you still have 5 minutes left, you call the person or the hiring manager and be like, hey, I'm really having trouble logging in and can you please help me log in? You do not wait 1 minute before the meeting starts to try to log in, because what happens is it makes you look late, it makes you look lazy, it makes you look incompetent. It doesn't help you. It doesn't, and I needed people to understand something. Saying sorry or apologizing doesn't wipe out what happened. Does that make sense? It's still a blemish on what's going on. And it still makes the rest of the people who are interviewing you go, you're wasting my time. That's a big one. You're wasting my time and you don't know what you're doing. Especially in this day and age where everything is computers. Everything, even your car is computerized. So, well, most cars. You have to, I don't know anything about cars, but you have to know how to use computers. Those people who are up in age, who are like, oh, I guess they call them boomers or late Gen X's, you need to learn computer software. You need to learn computer software. You need to learn how to maneuver these video chats and all that other stuff. You can't get into and that's another thing. You can't get into an interview and be like, yeah, I don't know any computer software. It's in the job description that you need to know computer software. Like I always tell you, when you go on an interview, you have to read the job description. Stop blitzing your job searches. You have to stop blitzing it. And when I say blitzing your job, I know I'm a bit all over the place right now, but when I say you can't blitz your job prospects or searches, because you're just sending your resume out to a bunch of places and not strategically putting them in place. So we had one person say, oh, I don't remember what the job was for or what was in the job description. That's bad. When you sit down, especially if you are doing a video interview, if you're doing a video interview, it's like having an open book test at school. You know, you remember open book test? It's like the answers are right there. So you have everything in front of you. The job description is here, your resume is here, and whatever information you wrote about the company that you should have researched should be in front of you as well. Does that make sense? You should have the hiring manager's name, the person who called you to set up the meeting. If it's an assistant, that's one thing. But if it's the Frank called that person and they didn't know his last name. And I'm like, how do you not know his last name? Because they couldn't find his name in an email. And I'm like, no, you have to know all these things before you sit down and have an interview. You need to have all of it in front of you. You can't just blitz a whole bunch of jobs and just be like, oh, I don't remember. That looks bad. That looks really bad. And I told someone this before. When you're interviewing, you are going to them to tell them why you are the best person for them to bring to their team, not for us to be brought to your team. So you telling me that the reason why you want to work for us is to benefit you, it is not a good look. Stop doing that. Stop going, well, I always want, because I work for a city agency. Oh, I the city, you have benefits, you have, you have pension. That's not the time to say any of those things. That is not the time to talk about what you want to get from us. It is not. It is like a bad date. It is not okay to tell me what you want to get from me. You understand? I'm hiring you because I need someone. You're not hiring me. So if I ask you, why do you want to work here? What you should say is, I read up on the agency. I read up on the position. I asked around, of people who worked in finance. Don't lie, because then they might ask you, well, who did you talk to? And it's like that. Don't do that. If you didn't, don't do that. If you know people who work for finance, you should talk to them. Be like, hey, I'm applying for this position. Tell me about finance. And then they'll, like, say, for instance, if you're a friend of mine and you're applying for a position, you're like, hey, Keisha, tell me about the finance department. I'll be like, oh, you're applying with this person, blah, blah, blah. And then you'll know what to do. But you are not to go, oh, I just want to work for the city. I'm almost vested. I want to have a pension. That means you're on your way out. Why am I going to hire someone who's already on their way out? Then I'm going to be right back in the same situation that I'm in right now, where I'm looking for someone because you retired. That is not how you do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. If they ask you, why do you want to work? I want to work because I want to give back to the city that gave to me. That somebody said that on an interview, and it was very impressive. She was like, I've been a New Yorker my entire life. I thought it would be great for me to give back to the city who gave to me. Working for a city agency will help me help the people in the community. I forgot what she said, but that is how you answer that question. You don't tell me what you want to get from me. That's not what you do. That's a no-no. The second thing that this is probably like the fifth thing. I'm just ranting, people. I'm just like, because it behooves me that people do not prep and prepare for interviews. When I was coming up, you had to prepare for an interview, especially if it's with a big company or big city agency. You have to know what you're talking about. Don't go in there fumbling. You fumbled it. You fumbled it. And if you're not ready for the meeting, you're fumbled it. Another thing, this is new because I haven't used Indeed in a very long time. But if you put your resume, I'm not sure about this, but if you put your resume in Indeed and it populates for you, you need to cut and paste, if you can, that resume and fix it or do whatever so that you can add whatever you need to add in there. You are not to be like, well, and if there's not something on the resume when you're sitting in front of the person, that job does not exist. Do not tell them, oh yeah, I have another job, but I can't put it on. I didn't put it on my resume. That looks very hella suspect. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do not divulge information that you are not asked for. Your age, your marital status, the number of kids you have or don't have, none of that. Your political preferences, anything, sexual orientation, none of that stuff is for an interview. Do not talk about those things because they're not relevant. So it's like, don't, and going to the person, I want to be completely honest. Don't do that. No one's asking you for that. Don't do that. So what you need to do is when they ask a question, especially our questions, because our questions are very structured. We have the same set of questions for everyone. Just answer the question, but you have to answer the question. If I asked you, well, what would you do if you get a last minute notification that you have to work overtime, right? That is not the time for you to go to me, oh yeah, that happened to me a lot, and you know, every time when that happened, this is what I did. That's not a protocol. That's not showing me a protocol. What's that showing me is you're just like, hey, whatever. You understand? No, my protocol is I'll ask you, you know, this is a structure. I'll ask you, well, what do you need me to do? And I will, you know, rearrange my schedule if I have something planned. That's a thought. That shows me that you have step-by-step thoughts and you can move. You understand? But just going, yeah, over here, they used to make me work overtime. And oh yeah, that's just knee-jerk reactions. That's such a knee-jerk reaction. At this level, at executive level that we're hiring for, there are no knee-jerk reactions. You have to have a structure in place that makes people know, I know what I'm doing. Does that make sense? You can't just be like, oh, or say a whole bunch of words and never answer the question because we're paying attention. I've said this in other videos like this. We're paying attention. So if you don't answer the question and you just give me a bunch of words, we're like, you never answered how you would do it. You answered what you did. You didn't answer how you would structure it and how you would do it. Does that make sense? So what was another thing? What was another thing? Just answer the questions. That's all I can say. Just answer the questions. The questions that you're asked, answer the questions, and make sure you come with questions. Don't be like, oh, at the end when every interview we're asked, do you have any questions for us? The first thing shouldn't be about the benefits. It should not be about, oh, what is the salary again? What are the benefits? You're supposed to know that going in. Because it's on the job description. So if you're asking me what the salary is, that means you did not read the job description. And to me, it just means you're blitzing your job searches. And our agency just happens to be in the blitz. And that's not okay. Because we're looking for people who we want to grow with. We're not looking for people who are just fly by night and just jump in and jump out. That's not what we're looking for. You know, next thing is, when you sit down, don't ask, oh, you know, you can ask, well, when are you going to make a decision? That's fine. Asking when do you think we'll, know, when do you think you'll know who you're going to hire? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with asking that. But asking about vacation, asking about salary, asking about all that other stuff, do not. Because there's a salary range and you should see the salary range, you know? So that's my rant for today. I'll probably pop back on here with more tips and tricks on interviewing. I think I might do that right after this one. I'll be wearing the same sweater. So stay up, stay blessed. Deuces.